inspiration and truth, that's the deal. Be authentic people, let your light shine bright. Together we'll grow, heal, and keep it 1000% real. Serenity, be you, stay true. Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, your space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive. Serenity, be you, stay true. Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, your space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive. Serenity, you stay true. Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, your space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive.
Well, welcome to Serenity Podcast tonight. Thank you guys for tonight. We're talking about dating God's way. These are my guests that was on part when we talked about, we had a relationship roundtable and we're talking about relationships. So we wanted to continue with the part 2. So we're going to do that tonight, talking about dating God's way. But before we do, I ask that you guys, go on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and go ahead and subscribe and click the bell. So whenever we have a new episode come out, you'll be able to see it. Because I'm in partnership with Prosperity Podcast. It's on every Monday night. So you guys tune in, subscribe, and like the podcast. Well, I want to welcome my guest. Thank you guys for part 2. So we're going to go around and I want everybody to introduce themselves. You have a business. Tell us about your business. And then also tell us what you want the audience to know about you. Let's start with you, Ms. Lisa.
Well, hello, everyone. I am currently in Houston, Texas on nanny duty. And so if I kind of look off and do a look, that's because I have some grandchildren that I'm trying to keep them quiet. But my name is Lisa Griffin. I have been in business for 5 years. The name of my business is Simply Good. I carry designer-inspired body oils for men, for women, as well as for your home and your car. Um, I do showcases. I come to you so you never have to leave out the comforts of your home. I carry over 175 different designer inspired body oils. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
If they wanted to get in touch with you, how could they get in touch with you?
You can reach me either by Facebook or you can contact me by phone.
At least
Pardon?
you cut out. Did you say on Facebook?
Yes, my webpage is being developed right now as we speak. So right now, Lisa Griffin. That's how you can locate me on Facebook. You can inbox me. You can call me for those who know who I am. I would be more than happy to come to your location, do a showcasing for you. That's exactly what I do.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And now we have Miss Sandra Bernard.
Hello, I'm Sandra Bernard, and this is my husband.
I'm Felix.
And go ahead. Talk about business.
So we're in financial services, and one of the things that we do is we fix things. By nature, I was a mechanic, fixing things, and then I did a little cosmetology, fixing hair, And now we're in financial services where we fix finances and stuff. So the thing that we do is just, we just share with people financial concepts that can change their lives if they're open for change. And then so, um, and the thing is that we just put strategies together for families to hit their financial goals and dreams. Uh, in every aspect with money, we deal with it. So yeah. And so we're on social media. I'm Felix001B on Instagram and Facebook. It's Felix Bernard.
And I'm on Facebook, and I am. Oh, we actually have a Facebook page. It's Empowered Financial Nuggets for You.
Yeah.
So you can always find us that way as well.
And the thing about us is
Okay.
that we
And
love Jesus, having fun. So and we're silly about a lot. We're silly all the time. So it's like two little kids, and so God is good.
Yeah.
and that you are. And then Spear, right before you go, I want our guests to go here. Introduce yourself and tell people about you, and then Spear will go next.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Coach Ken Wayne. I have a group of people that do relationship coaching. I'm a certified relationship and life coach. And we have a group of people that do all of that: business coaching, relationship coaching, premarital, all those things. One of the reasons I got into coaching was due to the fact that I saw that there was a need, and it's interesting for this particular topic because I saw a need from the church to have a outside entity that they can be real with to have these sorts of conversations. And so our coaching services was birthed out of that. And so my thing in helping people in the dating aspect is to help you get up on your dating game so you don't have to play anybody else's. And so again, it's a matter of being able to know what to do, when to do it, and how to execute it based upon your personality and your background, and then also ensuring that you're not bringing baggage into your new situation. So again, you can get to me at info at iamcoachken.com, or you can go right to my website and drop a form, ask a question. Ask a question. I promise I will get back to you regardless of what it is. But I'm very excited to be here and excited to participate and see what I can learn.
You just want me to go ahead and start talking?
Take it away, Spears.
Listen, you gave me to go ahead, but I'm just making sure everything's okay. Site, my name is Antoine Spearman, aka Spear, SPEAR.
Antoine,
I just go by that, and I am a site director here in Dallas, Texas. Site security director. I'm also a certified basketball coach for 19 years. I do all the varsity games here in Dallas, Texas. I've seen all the big time players and Julius Randles, and I mean, I've repped them and talked with them, and just kind of mingled with them. And I'm also a football referee as well. My dating qualifications to be able to be on this podcast, it just goes back to living a life, learning, going through experiences, and I believe that's one of the best type of trial and error type of things that you can learn. Because I've been through the highs, I've been in the mud, and so I've picked myself up and I've learned. And plus, I got two sons that I kind of transfer that information onto, and hopefully they're living life well and with the Most High. Oh. Let me throw my wife information in there. Her agency is NLS Marketing. That stands for Louise Spearman. She's a marketer. She used to be the executive marketing director for Time Warner and Comcast. And so when I met her, she has connections with Jerry Jones, Mike Urban, big time connects, things like that. And she has a marketing agency, which that's part of it right there. So if anybody needs a market agency or a person to represent, she does books. She does anything that you want to do in order to be able to market your business.
That's great. That is great. Okay, guys, are y'all ready to dive into this topic today where we talk about dating God's way?
We stay ready to keep them getting ready.
Look, everybody got. Well, you guys know from us, we've been knowing each other a while. All of us have been through some things and we've seen and experienced, dating different people. You think you're dating somebody of you, then you find out, down the road it's not. Sometimes you waste a lot of times with people. So, there's a lot of things on in the dating. Since we are older, we have experienced things. Let's dive into what it looks like do God's way, because I know we've all done it the wrong way, and we had to learn from what we've done. And like Ken said, there's a way to do it so that you get exactly what you want or what you're looking for. And Ken, I think you mentioned something about helping people. I can't remember the exact words you said, but they have to bring
helping
if
people
you're
up
looking
their
for
dating
something,
game. Yeah,
be
helping
what
people
you're
up their
looking
dating
for.
game. Yeah. Right.
Okay. So I got a question to all of you guys. What does Christian dating mean to you personally? What does that mean? Because it's going to mean something different to all of us, to you, and anybody can answer.
Well, I'll go first. Christian dating to me is
Okay. Go ahead, Sandra.
having an honorable relationship before the Lord, and that could be from like abstaining from having sexual relations. It's also I also think about not being alone with the person, or putting yourself in compromising positions, and then also really understanding who you are, because if you don't really know who you are, then you can also like bring or attract individuals that are outside of the person that you desire to be. So it's a lot of different things, but just I think of just being honorable before the Lord, because there is one day we're going to stand before him and he's going to ask us these things, and we have to account for those things that we have done.
True.
And
That is so true.
I would add on to that, just being your viewpoint of what is it that you're looking for. So from my perspective, I would say it's more about the character of the person than because we all have lists. And so when we met, we didn't have a list. And I believe it because we didn't have a list that we were matched up divinely. And because the list that we had, neither one of us would have qualified. And so I just think that when we're looking, is that we looking at the heart, the heart of a person first, and the characteristics, and if you're a believer, and if we're talking from a believer standpoint, observing and understanding how their relationship is with God. And so we know that by the fruit that they bear. And so, and just observing and honoring and seeing and meeting the needs of the other persons. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Ken, you got something you want to add on that?
Um, ooh. All right. So let me throw this out there, right? I pastored for
Okay.
7 years, right? I pastored for
Okay.
7 years. And so one of the things that I learned in stepping away from pastoring after I stepped away is that the church tends to create conformity versus
Mhm.
allowing space for people to do the things that they need to do. Now, I am not suggesting we get out there and wild out. I am not suggesting that. But what I am saying is that how we tend to have a space in church where all of us have to date the same way. It has to look the same, it has to feel the same. We have to do very similar things in order to
Mhm.
not become the topic of discussion in church, in order to not be condemned by people in church, in order to not be looked at sideways in church. So I think that when we're talking
Mhm.
about dating God's way, I think that there is we don't want to put God in a box and say that there is one specific way to do it. I think you have to hold a standard. I absolutely believe that. I believe Sister Sandra said that. And I believe there has to be
Mhm.
a standard, absolutely. But I am also aware that someone else's journey with the God that they serve can look different from mine. So I'm not looking for conformity, but I'm looking to be able to help them with my experiences and then help them get to where they need to be. But we're going to get into, I'm sure, how do you go from saying,
Mhm.
yes, I will date to whatever happens after that? Last thing I'll add to that is this. I don't even like using the word date,
Mhm.
right? Because if I just met you and you just met me and we say date,
Okay.
that brings expectations, right? That's a whole nother level. But
Yes, it.
the people that I coach,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
like to say, let's say it's just coffee. That's all it is. We're not dating. We're not going out for a date. We're just going to grab
Mhm.
coffee. So if someone says, "Can I take you out on it?" I'm married, of course. But in before that, if somebody would have said, "Can I take you out on a date?"
Right.
No, that's pressure. That's expectations. But if you like to say, "Hey, can we connect for a cup of coffee?"
Mhm.
Great, we can do
Mhm.
that. But you got to keep in mind, it's just coffee. It's not your husband. God didn't send you your husband. That is not your
Correct.
wife. Just calm down, relax, go have a cup of coffee and make a friend and have a friendly conversation and leave it at that. And if it's for you, it will manifest and it will just happen. But we go into this whole using the word
Mhm.
dating with expectations of doing something more, and I think that's a mistake.
Mhm. Now, I do have to agree with you. And the reason why I agree with you, any believer, if you've been in the Bible, you've read the word of God, dating is not in the Bible. It is simply not in there. So I think, like you said, when somebody meets you or approaches you, like you said, it should be just for a cup of coffee. Or, if you don't drink coffee, go for soda or something, and just sit and talk, because just sitting and talking to somebody, you learn a lot. You learn a lot just talking and listening and watching their mannerisms and how they act. Dating, I agree with you. It is pressure. It is really pressure. And I don't know how people can say you're dating somebody that you just met. You just met that person. You don't know if
Mhm.
you like them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't, that's the part that confuses me when I hear people say that. Because I'm like, you don't even know them. So what does that mean? Go ahead, Antoine. Now you got look like you want to say something.
Great example. I want to use me and my wife as an example for that. If you could date at an older age, but not dating uh, When I met her, I had just divorced, moved from Kansas City, moved here to Dallas, Texas, and I came here to, conquer and destroy. I'm just being truthful. I'm being transparent. I came here to see what Dallas had to offer me. So when I met her, we met at this jazz club, and I told her the next week where we kind of just met and had, a little drink and conversation. I said, I am not in this for marriage. I am not. I said, I just divorced and I am not. I said, you seem like a really nice person. I want to just get to know you. For
Mhm.
you. He says, that's ironic because I just divorced my husband and moved here from Utah. And so I said, well,
Wow.
let's have some chicken wings and just talk, right? So we talked, had some chicken wings, laughed, and I said, well, how about we not put pressure on ourselves to do this? I said, if you have something you want to do and you want to invite me, let me know. I said, but my schedule is so busy because at that particular time, I just knew I was going to be an NBA referee. So I didn't have time to be considered dating or going out for drinks or even really the other time that, I need to study. I need to find out my policies, my rules in order to be able to hit this floor and look good. I got to keep my weight down. I got to work out. I got to find a gym. I got to do all of this. And so I really didn't even think about having a relationship, but we picked it for 5 years. 5 years where she called me and said, you want to go to the Dallas Cowboys game? And I said, I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys. You follow what I'm saying? But I'll go. I asked her, I said, can I wear my Kansas City Chiefs stuff? She said, no, no. I go up in there. Hold on. I meet Jerry Jones. I meet Randy White. I meet Michael Irvin. I meet all these guys. And then I tell them, I said, man, I can't stand the Cowboys. And they say, you are the bravest dude we ever saw. And they keep to bring up in here. And I said, well, I'm just telling you the truth. I said, I think the Cowboys stink. I said, but I respect y'all. I appreciate the conversation. And let's keep it moving. And then they told Nikita, they say, the other dude that you brought up here last time, don't bring him no more. Always bring Spear. He's transparent. He tell us the real deal. We don't care, you know what I mean? Like this and that. They used to send limos to the house for me and Nikita to come to the games after that. We went to Phoenix, Arizona. It was like, Spear, where you sitting at? We sitting in the nosebleed seats. They come and get us, bring us down to the field. Is you just got to be transparent. You got to be honest. And I noticed that I do bring humor, and I do bring a little bit something said an it factor to the conversations. I just want to get to know you. I just want to get to know
Right.
you because at that particular time, I had two boys that I was still raising. I'm still raising to this day. But I didn't have time to be what they call dating. And it just worked out. It worked out. And I said, I like
That's
it.
good.
And
And the
she
next
said,
time you talk about my
like it.
Dallas Cowboys, I'm kicking your butt. You know
Well,
Dallas is in the house. Don't even play.
here's, here's
Okay.
here's what I'll put the Chiefs up against the Cowboys. We could bet a slab or two.
But
You
we
just
kicked y'all's butt here.
some burnt
We
ends.
kicked y'all's butt here and in Dallas. What you talking
Mm. We talking about seven
about? Okay,
AFC
that's me and
championships.
my cousins.
We talking about seven AFC championships,
Yeah,
four Super
okay.
Bowls in 5 years. We talk about all that. That's what we talk about.
Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, hey, you
We're gonna get back
guys.
on topic.
Carlin, can you guys hear
Okay, you
me?
know what? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You can.
Yeah,
Well, I thought I
we
was
can
going to
hear
do
you.
really, really well with these kids,
Yeah.
but it is not working like that. So I'm not going to be able to stay on this session here, but I would like to say that I do agree with some of the comments that were made. I am a single woman. I was married for 25 years, and I've been on one side and I've been on the other side. And coming fresh out of a marriage of 25 years and meeting someone, I didn't know what I wanted. So when we talked about the list the last time, Mr. Bernard, I still have the list. Mr. Spearman, I still have that list because I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know that um his walk with the Lord was important to me. I didn't think of that. I've been with my biceps and triceps for 25 years. How's his personal hygiene? I didn't know I was so picky about his pants length.
Yeah.
I didn't know so much if his personal hygiene isn't right. So I had to write something down as a guideline that would help me. But my first five, listen, brother, if you do not love the Lord, if he's the furthest from your mind, you don't have nothing coming from me. I'm not gonna waste your time, and you're not gonna waste my time, because I was with a friend, and I was crumbling all at the same time. So my list is a guideline. Now, do I cut a brother some slack? Yes. But at the bottom of my list, excuse me, at the bottom of my list, my expectation is no more than what I give. And I'm just not that female that's going to go out here uh, going to have ice cream, and that's this new thing. I don't like that asking me to go eat ice cream. Me and my kids, we were talking about that today, but that's just something totally different. But anyway, I have to have a list, and that helps me to stay on track of what I like, what I don't like, because I don't want to waste your time. And at the age of 60 years old, I don't have time to waste. Either you know or you don't know. But anyway, you guys, Carlene, I apologize to you. I'm here in Houston on nanny duty.
That's okay.
A 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, it's just not cutting it. And he's just woke up. I thought I was going to be able to make it, but my granddaughter was being noisy. So,
That's okay.
We wish you the best.
That's okay. But thank you. Thank you.
but Kim, I would like
Yes.
to hear
Thank
some
you.
of your comments. I'll watch what you guys have to say. Yeah, so I've been on both sides, and
Yeah,
even
just turn us
dating in the
on.
ministry.
Just turn us on.
Because
I sent you a link so you can listen.
Okay, that sounds great. And even when you're dating in the ministry, just because you interact with the opposite sex doesn't mean that you're sleeping with them. So I chose not to be a closet Christian person. If I was going to go out and be with somebody, that's what I was going to do. But anyway, I like I said, 25 years of being married to 12 years being single. It is really interesting out here. Y'all have a wonderful conversation. Carlene, again, I apologize to you, but I don't want to be disruptive with these children.
Okay, that's not a problem. You can just listen to us. I sent you a link.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Lisa.
You.
No problem. Okay, guys. You know what? I want to ask a question. A person with children, like Antoine said, he had kids, and which we all got kids. How does that look when you have children and you're dating, or excuse me, getting to know somebody? What children to see somebody?
You.
Oh, well, for me, it was a little
Did
different.
y'all hear the question?
We heard part of it. Can you repeat it?
Okay. My question, sure. I was saying with a single person that has children, when they're trying to get to know somebody, how soon do you think they should introduce the children to that person?
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah, because see, when you
you
go
know,
ahead.
that's a good question. because it kind of depends on how old the children are. You know,
Okay.
uh, then it also is going to depend on how soon that relationship was that you had separated. From that previous partner, and then also it also depends on where the mindset. I think once after that the relationship that you in is serious and going somewhere, then I think then I
Mm-hmm.
think then
Mm-hmm.
that would be appropriate. Now, what that time frame is, I don't know. It's different for everybody because like when me
I agree.
me and my honey met, I mean it was a short window because one, even though I was newly divorced, uh, I knew that I loved the concept of marriage, and so
Mm-hmm.
it was just so that was always on the forefront of my mind, because I love the concept of marriage. Even though I came out of a 17-year relationship, and my wife, she was in a 25-year relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
then when we met, you was how long ago was that? How long was that window? 25 to what?
Yeah.
12 years. It was about 12 years before we met
Hmm.
for her. But for me,
Mm.
I was newly divorced, and it was 6 months after the divorce when I met her.
Okay.
So it kind
Mm-hmm.
of depends on the variables, the age of the kids, and how that relationship is, and the direction that you're going in when you meet when you meet the new person.
Yeah. I was going to say that, as Felix was saying, when I started, right, entertaining men, I should say, in a sense of allowing them in, because first I had to heal, right? And then
Yes. Mm-hmm.
also my children were older, and I think I just waited. And it's not that I didn't want to get married or be in a relationship. I wanted to make sure that they were good and at a place where they would be more open, and know that, okay, mama's good. And I remember my son said to me, he said, Mom, did I ever tell you that it was okay for you to date? And this was when he was in like his senior in high school, and I was taking him
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. And I looked at
Mm.
him and I was like, because he was the baby. And I was like, wow, I never knew that that was his heart, because I was,
Mm-hmm.
like Phil said, I was married almost 25 years, and we separated in 2007, got divorced in 2010, and I didn't meet Felix until 2020. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was a long time. Yeah.
But that's very important, honey. That the healing part. So yeah, you definitely have to be healed because if you're broken, then it's not going to be beneficial for either you or the new relationship. So
Hmm.
that is so important. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. The healing
And
process.
you know
Yeah.
what? I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly because I think a lot of times people don't take time when they're in a relationship, whether they're dating somebody, married to somebody, they don't take time to heal. And then they
Hmm.
rush into another relationship and they're dragging that baggage from that old relationship into the new relationship. Kind of like, they're waiting for the shoe to drop to see if this person's going to do the same thing that that person does. And you can't judge people by something that somebody else done. You
Hmm.
shouldn't be sitting there waiting for the shoe to drop. I feel like you need to give yourself time. Each person's time frame is different, but I
Right.
feel like when you get out of something, it doesn't hurt to review what happened. What was your part in it, and what could you have done differently? So that way, when you move forward, you've already settled what happened. You know what happened, and you can go forward with a different perspective.
Can I add something to that, please?
Mhm.
Sure.
Absolutely on point. Absolutely on point. So no contentions here. But let's keep in mind, if we're keeping this in the realm of the church, one of the things that has to be put on the table is understanding that churches are made up of, in some cases, 65 to 70% women. Now, if you take 65 or 70% women, that means when a man walks in that church, he got options, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
what that also means
Mm-hmm.
is that if you have 70% of the women that are in church, let's say half of those young ladies are married, no issues. But then that brings about the other
Mm-hmm.
half, and now there's this degree of, I respectfully say, competition to try to land this guy. So I don't
I understand
we
what you're saying.
when we talk about when
Uh-huh.
we talking about when we're talking about relationship in church, we have to keep in mind that there is what we should do and then what actually happens, right? And so again, when we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about what actually happens, there's that fear of missing out. And if I am a woman with 4 kids and here comes this one guy, I don't know when the next guy's coming in. I don't know when my next shot is going to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
we have these, again, quiet
Mm-hmm.
competitions that happen in church when women do need to heal, where men not only need to be in a space where they can handle her. Let me rephrase that word. I don't like that word. Where he can walk with her while she's healing.
Mm-hmm.
He may be a distraction for her while she's trying to heal. And so again, all of these things come into play. Do
Correct.
I focus on my spirituality? Do I focus on my walk
Yeah,
with
they do.
God? Do I focus, focus on my healing, or do I try to
Do all of them at the
date?
same time.
Right? Do I try to date and figure out how I'm going to pull all this in together? And so again, the ability to be in a relationship by yourself is so critical. So when a man does come along,
Mm-hmm.
he's just enhancing your life. He's not completing your life. He's just enhancing it because God has
Correct.
done everything else. And this man is just being added to you.
Correct.
You know what?
And you know what?
That's
What
a
you're
great point.
describing to me is he's made a wonderful point, and what he's describing is a person. First of all, they don't know who they are. They whose they are, because if you got that personal relationship with God, because one of the things that I did, I had to take a personal look at myself, and during my prayer and meditation, I told God, I said, you know what? I would like to be married. However, when I look out into the world, most of the time it's you with this person until you see somebody else you want to be with. And I said, you did not create marriage to be like that. So I asked him to show me his way, what it means to be married. And so I went on that personal journey and I asked God, I said, how do people look at me? And so I tell you, words are powerful, and be careful of what you ask the Holy Spirit for because he will definitely answer you. So one day I was going to have a nice quiet weekend. So I thought I'm sitting in front of the TV, the kids are out, and I'm like, peace and quiet. Thank you. So I'm watching this movie. Have you ever seen the movie Deliver Us from Eva? So I'm
Mhm.
sitting there watching Gabrielle Union. You know, her parents had died and she was raising her kids. Holy Spirit said, that's you. I said, excuse me? Who? He said, that's how people see you, very strong. And you have to allow a man to be a man. And I was like, hold on, Jesus, hold on. Hold on, wait a minute. This is too much, first of all. You're telling me this is how people see me. But that made me take a deep look at myself. And then I kept asking God to show me more and help me correct that. So I had to go back and do some self checks and make some corrections. So once I made my corrections, he took me down a path that helped me see myself. And so I had to change a bunch of things. And the things I had to change was from being a single mom, raising my two kids by myself. So I had adopted the mother role, the father role, every other role, not realizing that I am cutting people off. So I had to learn how to not cut people off and to dial back who I was. Now, he didn't want me to stop being strong, but it's a way to do it so that you don't offend people, and especially men.
Good points made. You know, um,
Go down to the
John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever shall believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. This, when he made Adam and Eve, he created relationships, love languages. We have to learn how to deal with each other in a respectful manner. When we take that vow before God and we say we're going to be with this person forever until eternity, we really mean it. We really mean it. That's why you have people out here that will attempt to, make sure they keep their relationship in order, even if it's not evenly yoked. When we go back, we talk about
Mm,
how the relationship of being with God, you got to be evenly yoked.
mhm,
Evenly yoked, meaning great conversations. You got to be able to
mhm,
have smiles and laughs and know what their ins and outs are. If you want to be able to get up on a Saturday morning, cook her breakfast. If she don't like your breakfast, that's a part of just learning what she do like. Dating, intimacy, relationships. You need to learn about how intimate she is, and not just by appearance, but asking her, what her intimacies are. Are they in line with your intimacies? Just different things. I mean, sex is different from intimacy. And I hope under people, I've realized that at a later date,
mm.
because you come across a woman who it's beautiful to you, but she may not even want to be in. She may just want to have sex with you and keep it moving. These women nowadays,
That's true.
they tell you from the beginning, I just want to, I mean, it's almost like they turn it into me now. They come up to you and let you know what they want.
Right.
And
Right.
it's a turnoff for a woman to come up to me and just kind of tell me that even if she's beautiful, you see what I'm saying? Even if, but if she has something about her, it's almost a turnoff because men need a challenge. We have to have some type of challenge. And I think that it goes into a lot of different things, the standards. What are your standards? And
Mhm,
that's all in the
mhm,
bucket of being that healing process. That's all in the bucket of that healing process. Respect. Am I going to listen to you, or am I going to cut you off while you're talking? Because I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about. I ain't thinking about what you're talking about. We having a conversation, but are we really having a conversation? It's a lot of things that go
right.
into sex. I mean, her anatomy, or if her breath smells, or if her teeth are straight. It's so much that God has put on us to be able to just get along with the opposite sex. And if we can,
That's true.
person,
Well,
just real quick, and if we
mhm,
find that person that matches your energy, that matches your
mhm,
your goals that you have for the future, your missions, things that you should be writing down with each other, saying, hey, we want to accomplish this. It's not just buying a house, not just buying a car, but
mm,
how we can know each other in a interdimensional way. How we look at
mhm,
each other
mhm,
and that chemistry just kicks in. And then when that chemistry kicks in, that God chemistry, everybody who comes across you
mhm.
will be able to feel that. They can feel that. And
Mhm.
even with these particular type of relationships, 50% of us still get a divorce because we don't have a brother like
Mhm.
Ken uh, Wayne that could tell us, can break it down. He's broken down some things to me that I said to myself, "Wow, Spirit, I'm glad I got him my corner. I could call him because I didn't even
Mhm.
realize some of these things he was telling me. And I'm thinking I'm being a man. I'm thinking I'm being a stand-up person. I need to go back and humble myself because she's looking at me like,
Mhm.
um, you've been an asshole. Even though you don't think you've been an asshole.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, but you know what? You did the homework though. You reached out to somebody to find out, okay, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to be doing? She thinks I'm this, and you fixed it. And see, when you talk about being evenly yoked, a lot of people will stop at, oh, we're both believers. It doesn't
One
stop
morning,
there. It goes with everything from A to Z because you can be a believer, but if she's going to church and she's participating regularly, you go every now and then, that's not evenly yoked because he's going to get tired of her going all the time and she wanting him to go, then that's going to strike up an argument. It's going to strike up an argument. People need to sit down and truly have conversations about everything from A to Z. Like you mentioned, do you want somebody that cooks all the time? Sandra could have said, Felix, I don't cook. Okay, but is that something that Felix can live with if she don't cook? You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So you have to talk about everything, not just, I think people get all caught up in, oh, we're getting married. Okay, that's fine and good. But how are you going to live afterwards? How is the relationship, when you're at home? If both of y'all have kids, what is the kid's schedule? How do you discipline? How does she discipline? Is it the same? You need to come to common ground on that before you say I do and bring a blended family together. Do you want to have children? Does he want to have kids? If it's a couple that don't have any kids, you have to talk about everything. You can't just jump into it. And I think that's how a lot of divorces happen because they jump before they actually sit down and talk about everything. You have to know where you're going after you say I do.
yeah,
You have to.
yeah.
Well, I think people get caught up in
Go ahead,
they get
Felix.
caught up in the pomp and circumstances of relationship. At the beginning, it's all good. You see them, you got butterflies. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe he texted me. And I mean, you really into everything they do is cute until it's not. So let's say, for
Mhm.
example,
Right.
to your point, when, and I use this example when I'm coaching people dating and premarital. Let's say, for example, um, she gets a little jealous every because you have a female friend y'all pretty cool with, again, strictly friend, and you think it's so cute that she gets jealous,
Mhm.
right? How she don't like you wearing a certain cologne because
Right.
she don't want nobody trying to talk to you, and you like, I'm telling you, this girl's so cute, and you that's cute to you until you now 3 or 4 years down the road, and now what was cute when you first met her is now she crazy, right? Now she crazy. Now it's a whole nother vibe going on. Or let's flip it. At the beginning of the relationship, he's saying, I don't want no other men looking at you. I really don't want you wearing that. Well, it's cute at the beginning until it's not. 3 or 4 years later, he's controlling. He's telling you what it is you need to wear, what he approves of, what he doesn't approve of. So what I'm getting at is that when we talk about being equally yoked, a lot of red flags are already presented at the beginning of the relationship, but we just ignore them because we believe we're going to love
Yes.
somebody through it, or we can fix them, or it's not a big deal, or we just blindly and with intention just look past them. Oh, that's no big deal. And then again, we get to a point where we're not necessarily equally yoked, as you would call it.
Right.
One more thing would be Spear mentioned, this culture of sex
Mhm.
that a lot of people are having right now. I'm of the thought and the belief that people are not necessarily looking for sex. What they're looking for is connection. And so they think they can get connection through sex, which they can. The problem is it's so short-lived that they have to keep doing it in order to chase that connection again, versus having, you know, what our brother and sister on screen have, or what Spear has, or what even I have. But if you are out there, people get sex and connection confused. And so when you start talking about intimacy, you start talking about connection, you start talking about sex. Connection is a part of intimacy. Strong intimacy will always lead to sex. But again, you have to be very careful when you're talking intimacy, because if you're not married and you're putting yourself in situations where intimacy is being created, you're going to put yourself into a challenge. You're gonna put yourself in, and I think it was
Yes.
Sis that said that early on, the situations you put yourself into. To know thy enemy is to know thyself. And everybody's at the age right now where you already know. As soon as you
That's
see
right.
it, you already know what's happening. You know it's a problem as soon as you see it. So why play with it? Right? Why go out? Why go out for coffee,
Exactly.
visit with somebody, and you already know they are a problem for you. So again, it's a pretty, once you start pulling some layers back and start being honest with yourself, you can get to that point where you can make some on-task decisions. But as it stands right now, if I can play ignorant, I can probably get away with a little bit more, because I can say I didn't know, or it was the Lord's will. No, the Lord did not pay for that hotel for you. No, you did not. No, you filled out the credit card.
That's
The
right.
Lord did not do
That's
that.
right. That's right.
It's just being honest and real with yourself, and being able to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I need help with. This is where I'm struggling. This is what I can't pull myself. Just be honest with yourself and have a real conversation and see what happens.
Exactly. Exactly. Because if somebody's doing something that you don't like and you don't address it, I think you need to address it. Why are you letting it go on? And like you said, you're thinking, oh, well, maybe he'll change, or maybe she'll change, or I mean, I don't understand why people don't address
Just because
things
we know how to talk
at the beginning, or like you said, when they see those.
I'm gonna say, just because we know how to
Go
talk
ahead.
doesn't mean we know how to conversate, or we need to communicate. Right? Yeah. Those are two different things. We can all put some words together, but you ain't saying nothing. We can all put some words together, but you're a narcissist. We can all put some words together, but you're not listening. You're listening to debate. You're not listening to resolve or to understand. It's a whole thing, and people
Okay.
don't understand in most instances how ill-equipped they are to be in a relationship. Because again, the higher number of people were never taught how to be in a relationship, how to love, what to do. We just do what we see being done on TV, what our friends do, what somebody told us to do, or what we saw our parents do. And that was great for them.
True.
But we have to walk our own path. And so again, most of us are ill-equipped to be in relationships, which is why they fail, because we believe just the element of love will get us through relationships. And I'll stand on this on my own if that's the case. But love is not enough to keep a relationship together. It has to be more than that. It has to be mature, elevated, and growing love. It just can't be love on its own. So I'll pause there because I don't want to take up everybody's time.
So I got a comment on the last thing that was just mentioned about being able to communicate effectively. It's about knowing how to ask the question. Like you said, when someone is doing something that offends you or that you have a problem with, and then you begin not to say anything because you're beginning to weigh whether or not is it worth it for me to keep the relationship or not. But it's how you say it. And so when we have a servant heart, we have the heart of Christ, the love of Christ in us. And Christ came to serve, not to be served. And so we ask the question, when you do this and this, it makes me feel like this. It makes me feel this way. So that way that it's not well, why you do this? That really just pisses me off how you do that. It really bothers me. But when we say, hey, when you do this, it really makes me feel like this. Or if they're doing something, then you're like, okay, so when you do this, help me understand why you do that, because I'm trying to understand the way that you're speaking. And
Detail.
so then in another part, we
Mhm.
mentioned about the wedding part of the relationship. In most cases, that people think that it's the finish line, but it's only the starting line.
Right.
It's only the beginning of the
Right.
relationship.
Right.
It is not the finish
Mhm.
line. And a lot of times some people have this 50-50 rule that they go into a relationship with,
Mhm.
and that's not biblical,
It's
because the
not.
Bible says that
No, it's
the
not.
two shall become one flesh. And
That's
so,
right.
and like Brother Spirit
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, he mentioned the part about being transparent. And that's the mindset
Mhm.
that my wife and I developed from the beginning of our relationship. It's just being transparent
Mm-hmm.
about everything,
Mhm.
our
Yes.
finances, you know, the relationships, and just dealing with the kids and everything, just being transparent. And so we have to be able to ask the question, hey, show me how to love you, because it's
Right.
not being, so that way the person feels comfortable with being able to
Mhm.
express, okay, so
Correct.
my marriage is my safe place, because
Yeah.
I can let my hair down. I can feel
Mhm.
comfortable. I can say these things, and that we can learn and grow and vibe with each other and go to the next level, because God is always wanting to next level us in everything.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? What you're describing is when you decide to make that commitment and you're serious about making that commitment, that's actually when the dating starts. And that's when you're learning her love language and she's learning yours. Everybody's love language is different as to
Right.
what they want from their partner. And we have to learn that. I can't say that all three of the men on this podcast has the same love language, because you don't. You are three different people and your love language is all different. It's
Agreed.
all different. Mm. Now, I want to throw a wrench in here and ask you guys this. What do you think about a woman approaching a man that she wants to date?
Oh, that's no problem for me. It says how she approaches me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like if she come
Okay.
up, like Ken mentioned earlier, would you like to go out and have coffee or whatever, and we conversate? Actually, I would welcome that, because more women, if they see a man and they think he's nice, he thinks they're nice as well. Normally, there's a connection there. Men
Mhm.
normally come up to women and then they got all these kind of attitudes and behaviors. But if you actually see a woman that you like and she come over to you and ask you, that's, to me, that's 50% of it. Now
Okay.
I'm going to find out a little bit more about you, but back in the day, I'm going to try to hit you. Then I'm going to find out a little bit about it. But now it's on a whole nother level. I'm just saying, I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it
You
$100.
are. You are.
Mm,
Me. I know she want to do something.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh.
Like, but it opens, it opens it up. You keep it a spiritual, you keep it, you know, Christian. It actually opens up the relationship to be better. Now we don't have to try to keep getting past these layers of how we can get their attention. Because back in the day, even when we were in third grade, remember, you get those little notes. Do you like me?
Mhm.
Yes or no.
no.
I got one from the one heel in third grade. You see what I'm saying? I was like, oh, let me think about it. They was like, boy, you better put yes. So I put yes, sent it back with a cookie, and we kicked it. Had a nice time. But it was nothing on that other level. It was just a cute little relationship. But it taught me at that particular time in third grade that young men, women like each other. How am I going to handle this in the future?
I
You know,
like that, Steve.
that's a good question, and I don't have an answer for that because I've never been approached. Though I can't say whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. I would assume that would probably be a good thing if someone was interested in you, so that way you would know. But I tell you one thing that would not be it would be a deal breaker for me is that when I see that women are proposing to men.
Yeah.
Now that's a deal breaker there.
Yeah, they are
And but
doing that.
that's that's a really interesting question. We were riding back from visiting our niece that's in town. She's in the military, and they had to bring her. They had to bring the kids back because of what's going on overseas. And one of my cousins called me and mentioned, that we had a classmate that she had somebody that we knew that had, had dropped that question. Well, back in the day, you know,
Yeah.
I like you, but he never never let her knew that he liked her. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I was like, okay. Well, that's history now. But yeah, the deal is, I don't know. How do you feel about that, baby?
Yeah. Call me old fashioned. I still feel a man finds a good thing, right? So a man approaches. So I can't turn my mind off for that. My brain, shut it off. Yeah.
I think for me, it's like what Spear said. I certainly respect what
Ken, what is
Mrs.
your advice
Bernard.
for that question? How would you
Yeah,
advise?
I'm with I'm with Spear on this. I think it's not only how they do it, it's when they do it, and just their whole approach and presentation. Be respectful. No need to try to. For me, assuming I was single, let me put that out there first and foremost. Assuming I was single at the time this is happening, how she's even dressed would, for me at this point in my life, would be something that I would look at and I would say, nah, I'm good. Because again, I don't. What I'm not looking for. If I was single, I wouldn't be looking for anything physical. I would be looking for. I would be weary of anything that looks like it's going to disturb my peace. And if it looks like it's going to disturb my peace, I'm going to say no. It's not even. I only have to think about it. If you're doing a little bit too much, then it's no. But you can quietly come over, respectfully say, "Hey, how you doing? My name is, and may I ask your name? Hey, and whatever you're going to say after that, that's fine. But how she's dressed, all of these things, and it sounds like it's a lot, but it's just all boils down to just being respectful. That's it for me. Just be respectful, and we can see where the conversation goes from there. I can respectfully decline, but we'll see where it goes from there.
Agreed. Okay.
And you know
Now
what? I have to agree
I've
with them.
I've seen where the situation was sort of like that, but the woman would approach the guy and see if he's single, and then you're like, well, I have a friend that's interested in you, and then they progress from there.
Right.
Yes, but for the woman to do just to be hey, I'm the one, I want to holler at you. I was like, I don't know, I have no idea.
Yeah, times are progressive now. It's on a whole nother
You know what?
level. But even when I was 20, I've had so many different encounters that Ken could probably tell you, where they just come up to me and just like, hey, I used to do runway modeling, and I would go down the runway. I'd pick up my handkerchiefs. I'd take Charlie knows. I'd take my handkerchief out. I'd throw it to the crowd, and they'd be grabbing and fighting over the handkerchief. And I'm not trying to be vain or anything, but that was my life at the time. And after the show, they want to meet me. They want to talk to me. They want to tell me what their life is about. And so I'm thinking to myself, boy, this is absolutely great. This is incredible. I could never believe that I would be in a position like this, but I was. And so I had to pick
Mhm.
and choose. Only thing is that I was dating a young lady who was actually putting the shows on. So I had to be respectful and tell them,
Mhm.
thank you, but no thank you. I appreciate that. That's just part of the show. And God placed me in that
Mhm.
position because he knew better. He knew I didn't have any guidance. He knew that if I was single at that time, I would a fool with three Ks. You follow what I'm saying? So he hooked me up with the young lady who actually had moral ethics, who would sit down and talk to me and tell me different things. The only thing is, she was about 10 years older than I was. And so
Mhm.
I appreciate
Mhm.
that at the time because I'm here now and I'm able to tell anybody the stories and tell them what mindset that I had. It
Mhm.
God has always had protection over me, whether I accepted it or not. He's always had protection over me. So I've had many an
Mhm.
encounter where they come up to me and ask me, and so that's where I can give the experience now. And I got a son. Well, my two boys. I got a son now that he could be anything that he wants to be. He's out. He lives in Tampa, Florida. He calls me. He tells me they like this, they like that. It's like they don't wear anything. They come up to you, and I said, man, please, please, I just beg of you to just know who you are. Meditate,
Mhm.
pray, just be in your own dimension because it's too much out here. It's too much out here to go. If you take that step forward, it may kill you, but it may not, but it's gonna hurt you some kind of way
Mhm.
because I don't want you to do it like.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree wholeheartedly with what you guys are saying. What are the key qualities to look for in a relationship? What are some key qualities?
Chemistry. You gotta be able to you got to be able to look at them and say, ooh, I like her. Like I see this couple here, y'all looking at each other, y'all elbow to elbow, y'all like y'all like each other. And that goes a long way. You can work from there and you're always gonna have God within you because he created you. God is in your DNA, God is in your essence, God is in your spirit, God is in your love. You got to do is surrender
Yeah.
and say, allow me to be able to do whatever you want me to do. And she will follow. But
Yeah.
she's looking at you as though you're the man of God. You know, conscious, non, your subconscious, your conscious, your Christ that's in you, she's gonna follow you.
So, in one word, I would say companionship. Companionship, and then just really just serving one another. You know, I can just tell you that when we connected, she saw me, and people want to be seen. And everybody's in your face, but do anybody see you? And she saw me, and that's all that matters.
Mhm.
Because I jumped out there because I knew I had to. I love the concept of marriage, and so I'm out here on dating websites and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh my God, it's running into foodies. And for those who know what foodies are, those women that just want to just date you so you can take them out to eat. I was like, oh my goodness, this is all kind of stuff out here. So I just like, oh no, I had to get away from all of that. Like no, but that's not God's way. You got to be
Mhm.
still and just wait on Him. And and I just remember that
Mhm.
it just happened out when you least expected it. It happened for me. It happened for us. We least expected it. She was crying out to God during the pandemic. How am I meet a man? I'm working from home. Can't meet nobody. And I was like, Lord, who's going to accept me in the condition I'm in? And I, I went. I just, I was just minding my business, and during the pandemic, went to a nutrition place and placed my order, and there was two guys sitting there talking, and I just went over there to where they were at and joined in the conversation while I was waiting on my drink, and and they happened to be talking about relationships. One guy was divorced 4 times, the other guy had never been married, and here I was newly divorced, and we was talking about relationships, and the guy that was never been married, he liked what I was saying. He knew her, and he showed me a picture of it and said what I think. I was like, well, what you want me to do, Raider? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, what's my scale? 1 to 10? He said, yeah. I said, a 10. He said, a 10. I was like, yeah. Pull her up again. Pull her up again. Right? I'm thinking to myself, I did say a 10. Let me look a little bit more intently. Let me look a little bit more intently. I looked at that. Yeah, I give her a 10, just depending on what the conversation like, whether or not that's changed. And then that just started the divine connection. But it didn't have anything to do with me. It was all about him. But we just have to just trust God. He knows the best for us, So, companionship.
Yeah.
Companionship.
He said companionship. I think friendship, which I guess is the same, but maybe I might look at it a little differently. Friendship means that you can really share your heart with the other person, and then they stop and listen, and they hear you. And then sometimes I look at Honey, and and I'll look at him, and I'm even up to now, and I'll look at him, and I still get warm and fuzzy inside.
That's good.
I do.
That is good.
I do. But I don't say anything to him. But internally, I'll get I'm like, oh,
yeah,
he's just so cute. That's what
So we're going on 4 years.
Yeah,
this will be our 4th year. And it's kind of feel like we've been together a
Well,
lifetime.
yeah,
It's
it
just,
does. It does.
I mean, it's just so there's no friction. And you shouldn't have a lot of confusion and you shouldn't have a lot of frustration in that at all.
Yeah, and then
Not
also when we are vulnerable with each other, he actually takes it to heart and makes a change. And most people, they'll make a change, and then like 2 weeks later, they'll revert back. I see his attempts, and that endears my heart to him even more. It's just the attempts that he makes. Does he do it perfectly all the time? No. Do I do it perfectly all the time? No. But it's just the commitment behind it. And that's the other word, is commitment. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm about to cry because it just touches me at such a deep level. That it's like, wow, God. And so that's when I look at him like, wow, God, you've done this for me. So I'm grateful.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Carlene, can I circle back to something? Because I want to make certain I throw this out there because it's something that's kind of on my mind here. When we start talking about, because our original topic was, dating and doing it in God's way. I think a lot of, from my experience, I believe that a lot of people should pause and ask themselves a lot of why questions. Why are you in church?
Yes.
Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to do this? Why you want to do that? Because again, and when you start asking yourself those why questions, you start to get some answers. Why do you want to be married? Because I'm afraid to be by myself. Well, that's not a good reason to get married. Why do you want to be married? Because so I can have sex all the time. Well, trust me, it don't quite play out that way. I know it may on TV, but in real life, that is not normally how it works. So that's not a good reason either. So again, when you start saying why, you start asking yourself why Why am I even at church? I'm at church to work on my spirituality. I'm trying to get myself healed. I'm trying to get a closer walk with God. I'm trying to get to a space of elevation. I'm trying to get to a new place in life. I want God to do something new in me. And just when you make that commitment, here he comes through the door, right? Here she come through the door. And if you're not 10 toes firm on where you're trying to go with God, that now becomes a distraction, because
Amen.
again, the element of competition is there in church, because you trying to get her, Sister Jenkins trying to get on, and Sister who that she's trying to get on too. So it's just a matter of, again, this quiet competition of everybody wants a husband. It's only, again, one dude and multiple women are coming at him. That's how it normally works. So normally there is in church we have our private persona, and then there's the public reality. So we come in church and we know how we're supposed to act, but outside of church, sometimes those two things don't line up. And so when you are finding
Don't
yourself
match. That's
pressing,
right.
yeah, when you find yourself pressing somebody, trying to date them or whatever, that's when we get ourselves in trouble, because we want to date the person we see in church. Then we get them outside of church, and it's like, oh man, it's a whole nother ball game. And so again, it's understanding your why. Why am I in church? Why is it important for me to date? Why is it important for me to get married? Because again, there are a lot of instances you can't do all of that at the same time because they conflict. You need to be
That's correct.
completely focused on your walk with God till you get to such a place in maturity that you can take on a relationship, right? But it's a lot of energy.
That is true.
You're trying to balance your healing. You're trying to take care of the kids. You're trying to go to the job. You're trying to heal from the past relationship. You're trying to make certain that, you do all the stuff that the church is requiring you to do, and you don't have enough hours in the day or time to call yourself, quote unquote, dating anyone. So there are a lot of pulling back of layers and asking yourself some really tough questions so you can get to where you really want to get to or need to be.
Yeah. One thing that I did after I was divorced, I actually had cancer. So I had to heal from that and then also the divorce at the same time. But what I did was I was honest with God and said, please hide me until it's that time. Because I didn't want to be stepping out and getting into a relationship if it was outside of his timing. And he did. He hid me all those years. And every time I would feel that I would try to take a step, my insides would start shaking because I knew personally, no, it's not time. But yeah, I asked the Lord to hide me until that time. And I could actually start feeling it lift. And I started having people speak into that, into my life. And that's how I knew, okay, it was time. And then sure enough, I met Honey here.
And so one of the things I did is that in my process during the separation time, actually during that period there, I drew closer to God because of the situation, and allow God to really minister to me. And when it came time for the divorce, I told her, I said, hey, listen, the only thing I can tell you is that some woman gonna praise God you let me go. That's all I know. Didn't know who it was. I didn't have a list. I just knew that some woman was gonna praise God that I was let go. And so I moved forward with that. Now, the healing process, when people talk about the healing, it's in that we can't leave out forgiveness.
Right.
And one thing that helped me is that I remember what Christ done for me.
Yeah.
In all of my mess ups. He constantly said, come on back, bro. Come on, get on up. Give me another hug. Come on back. Come on back in. And so you cannot say that you're a believer and then not do that for other people.
Right.
No matter if it was your fault or their fault. The Bible says if you know and leave the gift at the altar. Go and be reconciled. Now, Now, how do you know that you're in a place that where you can forgive them? I've heard a lot of definitions. Forgiveness is treating someone as if the offense never happened. I've heard that, and then so and I had to exercise that when I walked through my divorce because she reached out for a need and I didn't throw anything in her face. I was like, okay, well, what is it? All right, well, let me see what I can do. I did what I could do and went on about my merry way each and every time until Honey came on the scene. When Honey came on the scene, then it changed. And so and that's one of the things that we have to be able to forgive people. And so, and then there's a pattern. We look back over all of our relationships, you'll see that there's a pattern. And if you look back all over the issues of life, you'll see that in every issue, every circumstance, every situation, God was there. He's been there all along, but we just we have a tendency of wanting to do it on our own. And then we leave God out and say, okay, God, here, bless this. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You are 100% correct. That is not how it works. I think that people just need to get in touch with who they are, get a relationship with God. And when you seek Him, like I asked Him, show me. And when He showed me, like I told you, I was like, oh my God, we got to change that. But He will help you change those things that you need to change. Uh, I had ran across one guy that desperately wanted to get married. And because I used to ride the bus to work just because I didn't want to drive and park at the car. But he said, oh, I want to get married. I want to get married. And so I was asking him questions because I was trying to see if he was in a position for marriage. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. Where were you guys? I said, you're planning to ask this lady to marry you? And he was like, yes. And I said, oh, well, that's wonderful. Wonderful. I said, had asked him, I said, well, where do you work? And he had told me where he worked, hadn't been there that long. But I found out through our conversation that he said, well, I just love her. I said, well, honey, I'm going to tell you something. Tina said, what's love got to do with it? I said, you as a man have to be in a position of a provider, a protector, and be able to profess your love for this woman. I said, are you able to do those things? And he goes, well, I got an apartment and she's got a house, but, I can just move in her house. And I got about 30,000 and then I got something. I said, wait, hold on. And then he told me he had some child support issues. I said, but hold on. Here's what you got to understand about women. First of all, she needs to know these things. Second of all, if a woman's got herself together, she can pay all her bills. She's used to having a little money left over. She's saving. She might go out and buy an outfit, pair of shoes, whatever. If she marries you, she takes on your debt. And if your debt is sucking up her extra money, that's not going to be a happy home. I said, I can tell you now from a woman's standpoint, it is not going to be happy. It is not going to be pretty. I said, you guys need to sit down and talk about everything from A to Z. Find out what she's willing to accept and what she's not. I said, because if she finds these things out after the I do, there's probably going to be a divorce following that. And so he was like, oh, no, she loves me and she'll be okay with it. Marriage is 50-50. I was like, Jesus, let the bus hurry up and get to work because he is definitely not listening. And I said, Lord, the only thing I can say is help them because they need help. Help them because he wasn't listening. I don't know how that situation played out, but I just hope that he was honest and, sit down and talk to her about everything.
What's interesting is you said we have this thing where we say marriage is 50-50. Now, rhetorical question. If marriage is 50%, 50-50, what are you doing with the other 50%? It's 100% of you, 100%
exactly.
of them. Right? So
exactly.
If you got 50%, all you got to give is 50%. I mean, you got 50% floating around somewhere unused, You're not doing nothing with it. So it can't be 50%. It's not half of them. They are a whole
Exactly.
person. So I need 100% of you in this, 100%
Correct.
of me in this, and the two shall become one. Right.
Yes.
So again,
Exactly.
we're having these conversations about marriage, and we have to stop and pause and ask ourselves, where did I get that from? Why do I think that? Why do I believe that? Again, start asking ourselves, why do we see things how we see them? Because we've been hearing them forever, but we've never questioned it. 50%, you trigger that thought because again, 50, when people say 50-50, I'm like, that's not even an accurate equation. So just wanted to put that out there for thought. It's 100% of one person, 100% of the other person, and we'll see what happens. That's
right.
what should be happening.
Amen.
That's exactly what.
So I think the question would be, when we have these questions, does it line up with scripture? What does the Bible say about how I think?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you'll get the answer. You know, because the
Yeah,
50-50,
you
I don't know where that comes from. Because it ain't in there. Because it says
I
the
don't
two
either.
shall become one flesh. So it's one flesh is 100. You know, so yeah. So we
Exactly.
have to ask the question: what does the Bible say about how I think? And so we have to align, because we know that his thoughts are not our thoughts, his ways are not our ways. And so a lot of times, all the time, it's us going a different way from where he wants us to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to learn how to ask questions and then honestly hear what the person is telling you. Said, you see all them red flags. And one thing that I love about, I used to listen to Maya Angelou and read her stuff. She said, when a person tell you who they are, believe them. We tend to not believe people when they tell you who you are. For example, you meet somebody, let's say y'all go for coffee, and you're trying to get to know each other, and you say, oh, well, where do you work? Oh, well, I've been over here at such and such. Well, how long have you been there? 6 months. Oh, really? Well, what were you doing before that? Well, I was over here a couple of years over here. Women, what is he telling you? That he is not good at staying employed. So we have to listen and actually hear what the person is saying. Don't get carried away. Oh, he looks good, or he's got this. Because my cousin on this podcast, Antoine, that boy can wear a suit that'll knock your socks off. Okay, with them creases and stuff, and Felix can too. But here is the thing: he might wear a good suit. Is he a provider? Those are two different things. That's two different things. And the same thing with women. They can look good, but is this somebody that's going to stick by your side when the going gets tough?
Yeah.
Is she going to be there? Because the vows say better or worse, richer or poor, sickness and in health. And I believe if you're with somebody long enough and you hang in there, those things are going to happen. So are we there for the duration, or are we just there while things are good? That's why it's so important to ask questions, and it's so important to listen to the answer that you get. And one thing I would quit trying to change a man. Quit trying to change him. Quit trying to fix him up. We have to stop that. And I've seen a lot of women that try to do that. We have to stop. And like Felix said, find out what God says. Find out what he says about things. What is he saying to you? Because the Holy Spirit does talk. A lot of times we drown him out. We don't hear.
Yeah.
And that's when we get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Carly, here's a quick question.
Ken, you want to say something?
Yeah, let me throw this out there for all of you all. This is a quick pop quiz for all the panelists. Quick pop quiz. In my 20 years of coaching, no one has ever done this. Right? No one has ever done this. So if you think back, don't answer this out loud, because we don't want you to tell yourself. So just I want you to process this though. And for your listeners, I want them to process this too. Normally, relationships go in 9 phases. Hey, how you doing? My name is Ken. What's your name? That's phase 1. Phase 2, we're trying to figure out who they know, who they've been dating, what's their social profile, all that good stuff. That's phase 2. Phase 3 is we start lightly communicating. We might text, say, hey, it was good meeting you, blah, 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 blah. Phase 4, now we're starting to get into phase 4 where we're actually starting to go to dinner and doing couple stuff. Phase 4 is normally where people will use the L word. Now, here's the question. Think about who said I love you first, right? Don't say it out loud. Just think about it. Who said I love you first? How long did it take for them to say it back? Here is the question. When they said I love you, did you say, what does that mean when you say it? Right? Because everybody got a different definition of love. And in coaching, some men want obedience, and that's their definition of love. Coach, she won't do nothing I tell her to do. Okay, he wants obedience to a certain degree. She might say, Coach, I don't know why he's mad at me because I'm running up these credit cards. He know I like to shop. He knew that before he met me. He said he loved me. Well, that was her definition of love. You're going to take care of her and let her do her thing. But if you are wondering, in most cases, nobody ever asked that question because we assume people know what that means when we say that I love you. But if you need a litmus test, you go to Corinthians and you ask, let me see, am I going to be kind? Am I going to be patient? Am I going to be, is my love boastful? You can just go right to 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 7, and just start checking them off the list. It's not, are they, it's are you. Am I kind? Am I patient? Am I this? Am I that? And if you can't check the boxes, you got some growing to do. So for your listeners, that is an easy way to understand how do I mature my love in a Christ-like sense to the degree where it can get into its full season. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 7. If you cannot check all of those things off the box, you got some growing to do.
Points, man. Man, it's a pretty good session right here. Well.
Yeah, that was good. I like that, Ken. And I think that will help, a lot of the listeners. Because a lot of times people attract what they are. And if you're attracting something that you don't like, take a look in the mirror. And you're going to have to change some things. You're going to have to change some things in order to attract the type of person that you want. A lot of people don't understand that. I've had talks with different people and with a lot of ladies, and I've told them to come off of I call it the Cinderella syndrome, where you think he's going to ride up on a white horse, come and snap you up, pay off all your bills, take you and your children, move you in this big house. And like you said, Ken, they can shop, they can do whatever they want to do. That's a fantasy. That is a fantasy. They wrote Cinderella, and that's exactly what it is. That's not real life. That's not real life. You have to be what you want. You have to be that. So a lot of people don't get that. I wish I was at the point to pay for people to come and sit down and talk with you, Ken, to get the things that you've said on this podcast, because it's needed. It's really needed because we have generations that have not been taught, and you can see that every day. I'm out and I see it. We need this education. It needs to be put out there to help the generations, because they're lost. A lot of them are lost on how to do things. They really are. Felix, I see you laughing at me. You're laughing at your sister.
I'm not laughing at you, but when you talked about the white horse, I was like, well, I have a white Ultima. I didn't know if that meant anything. Just saying. I had a white Ultima.
See, I drive a white Altima. That's why I said that. I drive a white Altima, but no, it was just the Cinderella thing. I see a lot of people on that. So they need to come off of it. They need to look at reality.
Yeah, but when we're talking about our younger culture right now, and this is not me condoning any behavior, but I always want to understand why it's happening. But we're talking about a behavior that is People are more connected now than they've ever been in their lifetime, but yet we're so disconnected as people, right? So, when I'm coming through church in my teens, it was I didn't have the vices. We had other vices. We just trying to sneak and go to the house party on a Friday, right? Without mom knowing about it. That's what we're trying to do. But if we are talking about kids nowadays, they could be talking to somebody in a whole different country in less than 30 seconds by picking up their phone. So they got a whole nother level of pull that they have. And what we tend to do, much to our detriment, our heart is in the right place because we want to help them, but we don't even put ourselves in the space where we understand what it is that they're doing. You can't help somebody that's addicted to drugs if you don't understand what an addiction is. And so again, even with the kids or the younger people, the 20 somethings or what have you, it's understanding what it is that they're dealing with. And again, they have the ability to be connected to 100 people all at the same time and be completely feeling alone, all in the same moment. And they are looking for connection. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for connection. And so they affiliate themselves with all kind of just madness, and they scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Because I think Brother Felix said this, I'm trying to tell somebody, hey, I'm here. Do you see me? I'm here. I want somebody to tell me, value me. Somebody see me over here. I'm hurting. I'm challenged. I'm feeling alone. And so again, it's what they are. Again, it's the why. It's what are they looking for? They out here and they're lost because we are to a degree trying to get them to do it how we did it, and that don't work. Right? You can't put a 2024 motor in a 1916 car. It just ain't gonna work. You can try it, but it's just gonna be a hard thing to do. So it's being able to understand where they at and then try to get them there scripturally. When you see he that sees his brother overtaken in the fall, go to him and restore him, considering yourself. Right. So we have to be able to go to them and be able to understand first and then try to get them to a space. But they're lost simply because, much like as they were walking through the wilderness for 40 years, they're looking for something. And we got it. And we say we got it. But we got to offer it in the energy of love and energy of understanding, and then be able to help them get there. So yes, they do need help, but we're in those seats now. So it's our job. We have to be intentional about helping them at this point.
Agreed.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys for being on. We're going to have to wrap this up. We've been on here about almost an hour and 5 minutes, but the information was great information, what you guys shared. Does anybody have anything they want to, or thoughts they want to leave with the audience? Anything they want to say?
The best place to be
Any
as a single,
principles, suggestions?
yeah, the best place to be as a single person is hidden in Christ, because he'll shelter you, he'll pour into you, he'll speak words of love over you, he'll help you to develop to be the person that he's called you to be before the foundations of the earth. And when others or things make you feel that you're not enough, when you're hidden in Christ, you know the truth, and you can always walk and believe and trust the truth. Not to say that it's easy, but at least you know whatever Jesus says, whatever he says, that's truth, and he can't lie. So yeah, being hidden in Christ is the best place to be when you're single.
Trust God, love people. That's my war cry I share with people all the time. No matter what the situation is, trust God, love people, remember what Christ done for us, and then also have that same heart to do that for others. And I truly believe that great things will begin to happen.
That's good.
My parting shot
That's
is
good.
my parting shot would simply be: you can't be your authentic self if you don't know what your authentic self is. And so take that time to get to really know who you are, because most of us are a product of other people that have shaped us to be who we are.
Mhm.
But you were put here for a purpose. You were put here in this season for something great. You're not an accident. There's something phenomenal out there for you to do, and the struggle comes because you're finding it hard to get to where you're supposed to be. But taking that step back, being able to say, why am I here? Who am I? What do I believe? And why do I believe it? And getting to know yourself will get you to that space where you will start to move into the flow of which God has for you.
And I like to just say that
That's
real quick. You don't have to be in the house. You don't have to be in a corner or be in a room in order to heal. You know, the last kind of different things that we talked about is chemistry, commitment, companionship, and why. But you got to be involved.
Mhm.
Get out,
Mhm.
feel yourself, see things. God has created this globe of beautifulness for us. You know, we can pull it up on YouTube and see, going into outer space and looking at different things, or we can pull up Anna fishing, or we can just pull up football. But get out. You don't have to heal just, in a
Mhm.
room. You pray in a room, you meditate in a room, you do what you need to do, but live your life,
Mhm.
experience, do things, talk to people,
Yes.
and that heals you in such a beautiful way, you know. And then you'll get to know you. You'll get to know what you like, what you
Mhm.
don't like, what you want, what you don't want.
Exactly.
You want to keep.
Exactly. I agree with. I agree. Yeah, I definitely
So
agree.
that's my
And
part.
what I would say to our audience is say to our audience is if you don't have a relationship with God, please get one. Get a relationship with him. Also, get you some people that will tell you the truth. If you got people around you that agree with everything you do, those are not good people to have around you. Get somebody that will call you on your stuff and say, hey, wait a minute. You out of character. That ain't you. What are you doing? You need those type of people around you because it will help you see some things. It will also help you heal. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, when you go out, like Spirit say, don't stay stuck up in the house. Get out, go to different things, see different things, ask questions because nobody's perfect and there is no we were taught that in school because you might not know, and just because you don't know don't you can't get the answer. So I thank all of my guests for being on. I thoroughly enjoyed you for your knowledge and for sharing, with the audience. I'm hoping that this podcast, when people continue to watch it, that they can heal, that they'll, understand some things better. And so I thank you guys for your honesty. I always like to keep it 1,000% real. Thank you so much for tuning in for part two of the Relationship Roundtable, where we talked about dating God's way. So we're out. So thank you guys so much. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for making this a positive uh, podcast. Thank you guys. Y'all take care, and I'll be talking to all of you soon.
Let me say this.